focus on how to cut your own fringe. We've been having lots of people contact us via social media, a lot of our clients, to say their fringes are getting really long during lockdown and they need to do something, and they just need some hints and tips on how to do it at home without ending up with a disaster. So I'm going to talk you through what you're going to need, and then I'm going to do it on myself with a clip-in fringe. So I'm just going to talk you through some of the tools you're going to need to cut your own fringe. Whatever you do not reach for a pair of nail scissors to cut your fringe. Firstly, I'd recommend you go online and buy a cheap pair of hairdressing scissors, just purely because you need quite a sharp scissor to cut through hair. So that would be my first tip. Go on somewhere like Amazon and get a very cheap pair of hairdressing scissors. They don't need to cost a fortune. You're going to need some hairdressing clips, sectioning clips, to isolate areas of your hair so that you only cut your fringe and don't end up cutting into the interior of your hair. And you will need a comb similar to this, and maybe a little brush just to brush through your hair. Okay, so now I'm sporting this little clip-in fringe for you. And the thing to remember is to, when you're cutting your fringe, just make sure that you put your hair into the natural fall, into the natural parting. So whether that's the middle or the side, just get it into place. Make sure that you separate the fringe from the remainder of your hair. So you can see here I've isolated these areas with my clips, and it's all really clean and in position. Also, just make sure that your fringe has been styled. Make sure it's clean, and style it, blow dry it, and maybe even straighten it into position, ready to cut. So anyone who has a fringe knows that the worst thing about having your fringe cut is that it goes up your nose and sometimes into your mouth. It's really unpleasant. So this is where a mask comes in really handy. So I'm going to put this mask on, and that way I'm not going to get hair into my mouth. I'm not going to eat my hair. It's not going to get stuck to my lipstick, and hopefully the damage will be limited. Doesn't get much better than this. I've now got a clip-in fringe and a mask on. This is wonderful. Right, so you can see that I've isolated a large chunk of the fringe, and I've just got a small section. It's really, really important not to try and cut your fringe in one foul swoop, because that will lead to disaster. So taking it in small sections, yes, it will take longer, but you will end up with a much more attractive looking fringe. So I've got rather a large pair of scissors. I think these are a 7.5 inch. So ideally you want sort of something around maybe 6 to 7 inches. Using the comb, just comb it down and then get your scissors and slide them in, and then always take less off. You can always take a little bit more off afterwards. Just go long before you go short, basically, and then just start to cut. So you can see why they really need to be sharp, because if you pick up the kitchen scissors or a pair of nail scissors, they're just not going to cut through the hair the way that a pair of hairdressing scissors does. I'm just going to take now another section of my fringe, my faux fringe. Obviously, when you're cutting real hair, it's a little bit easier, so my sections are not going to be as clean as yours need to be. So you can see where I've initially cut, I've got like a little guideline there now. So just keep going through in exactly the same fashion. You can even support the scissors as you cut. So you keep a straight line. Now it's really important that you get the length right and the shape right before you start snipping in. So it's going to look very sharp. It doesn't, at the end, I'm going to show you how to personalize it and soften it if that's the fringe or the look of fringe that you want. But initially, just get the length right, make sure it's even, and you know, just get a good, clean, nice, healthy looking fringe in place, and then you can start to do other little things to it, which I'll show you in a moment. So I've done 2 sections on my right side, and now I'm going to come in from my left, and I'm just going to take my comb and slide that across to the middle of my forehead. I think I might be snipping a bit of my own hair, but never mind. There we go, right. And I'm just going to separate that away with my clip, like so. So now I've got my section from the left side, and you'll see that I've got a little guideline here of the piece of fringe that I cut from my right side. So that's going to help me keep on track and keep my fringe nice and level and even. So sliding the scissors through again, obviously please be careful, mind your eyes. You can support the scissors with your other hand, and then you just keep on cutting. So I've taken another section from my left side into the middle of my forehead, and you can see I've got a fine veil of hair that I need to cut. So I'm going to do that, and I can see very clearly now the hair that I've previously cut, which is acting as my guideline. And this is the last section. So there's basically 2 sections from the right into the middle, 2 sections at an angle from the left into the middle, and then the last piece of hair that falls over is your last piece to cut. So I've got a really good guideline there now, and I can very gently slide my scissors in. You can always use your comb to comb down, and then just cut that final piece away. Okay, so here's the finished result. I have a mask full of hair, so I'm now swallowing hair, so that theory has gone straight out the window. Anyway, I have to empty this mask. Okay, so here I am maskless, and this is roughly the finished fringe. I can see, for example, there's a little bit of a corner there, so I'll address that up close in the mirror in a moment. But basically, now you've got a full kind of boxy fringe. If you want to create a bit more length at the sides, then you would angle your scissors accordingly. So you can just take your scissors and just angle them down to create a little bit more of a curtain fringe if you like. But basically, that's rather a nice sharp fringe. If you wanted to keep it like that, just finish it off a little bit at the edges, but otherwise that would be fine. If you want to soften it, this is where you can refine it by going in a slightly different way and not cutting the hair in a sharp line. So just to soften it, you can just use your scissors to take a section of hair and lift it up like so. Obviously this is a fake fringe, so it's all lifting up. Your hair will be much better behaved, I'm sure. Just take a piece of hair, just try and get the section as clean as you can, and just hold the section of hair in your fingers like so. Put your comb down, and then just very carefully, and please do this in a mirror because you don't want to start cutting your knuckles, you start cutting in very, very gently because less is more, like so. Please be very, very careful when you do this, and just drop it. And just keep doing little bits, and you'll start to create a few little layers in the hair, a little bit of softness in the fringe. So if you don't like that fullness and that thickness of fringe, that's just going to take some weight out and just sort of layer it softly. The other thing you can do is hold it down like so and cut in this way. Obviously, again, being very, very careful. And what that's going to do is just soften the line of the fringe. So it will take away that sort of very club cut looking fringe and just give you a softer edge. Now, obviously, the more you do, the softer it will become. So remember, less is more. Go in gradually and just keep doing it, but just know when to stop, because you don't want to end up with a fringe that is making you look surprised for the next fortnight while it grows out. Just be really, really cautious and go in gradually. So I've taken the clips out now, and obviously my fringe is not going to sit as blended as yours will, because if you've naturally got a fringe, it works with the rest of your haircut. Mine looks a little bit out of sorts, but it's not too bad because it's a clip-in fringe. So, but you can see, I mean, that's just taken quite a lot of the weight out and the length away, so I can see again. And that is going to get you through lockdown with a reasonable looking fringe. I really hope you enjoyed our fringe cutting tutorial. Our next video is going to be how to apply a hair colour to your roots only. So just freshening up, you'll see I'm starting to get a little bit of rootage there myself, and I hate seeing my white hair. So as much as I hate doing my hair colour at home and would much rather be having it done in the salon by one of my co-workers, I can't leave it. I'm far too vain for that. So I will be doing that for you on our next video. And basically just really to show you how to apply your hair colour really cleanly and neatly, so that when you next go back to your colourist, they're not having to deal with a patchy colour, or, you know, getting banding that they have to cleanse out or anything like that. So just showing you hints and tips on how to get a really nice, even colour application so that your hair colourist doesn't scream at you when you next return to the salon. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up down below. Please leave your comments, and we look forward to seeing you on our next video. Bye for now.